Good morning. It should start soon, 11 a.m. Colorado time. And we will be starting with witnesses today. I'm going to mute because my dogs are noisy. Be in and out.
Should reflect the jury's not present in the courtroom. Oh, thank you. Is there anything we need to take up outside the presence of the jury at this point in time? Prosecution? Defense? Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Just I am Todd. Is that what you did? I can hear him back there. So. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 135A, People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start the day, as we will every day from here on out, with a question. Has anything occurred since we were last together that causes any of you to believe that you could not continue to serve as a fair and impartial juror in this case? If so, please raise your hand. No response. All right, yesterday we finished the day with the opening statements of both the prosecution and the defense. At this point in time, the prosecution will be calling their witnesses. Mr. Allen, call your first witness, please. Raise your right hand, please, sir. Mr. Stauch, if you'd raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Sir. Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Ron. I want you to introduce yourself to this jury and spell your name for the record.
Al Stauch, and that's Stauch, and Gannon's father.
Al, I wanted to start by talking a little bit about you.
You may.
People's exhibit. What is people's exhibit number 1?
That's my boy.
Gannon? Yes,
Yes.
I move for admission of people's exhibit.
Defense? Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Go ahead.
I would object to it.
I can't see it. Okay. We need to take it down though if it's all right.
I want to have you tell the jury a little bit about your son. How old was he when you lost him?
He's 11.
When was he born?
September 29th, 2008. No, he was 4 months early. 1 pound and 6 ounces.
Who is Gannon's mother?
Landon Hyatt. I think her name's Bullard now. Landon Bullard.
Were you married with Landon when Gannon was born?
I was, yes.
Gannon have a little sister?
Yes. Lena.
Straight for the jury, how big Gannon was? First got told.
Yeah, so as I said, he was born on September 29th, and it was about a month after that. I think it was October 20th. I got to hold him for the first time, and that's how big he was right there. And the last time I ever got to hold him, he was in a box about that big as well. 6 months after he died.
Was he in the hospital for a short amount of time after?
Yeah, I believe we brought him home in January. If I remember correctly, towards the end of January or sometime in January of 2009. So about 3.5 months in the hospital.
Did he have any issues that he had to overcome? Premature birth?
Yeah, early on, he had a lot of lung issues. Actually, while he was in the hospital, he had quite a number of surgeries. Hernia, he had some, like I said, I think it was lung collapse one time, so he had a chest tube. Also was on a feeding tube and a lot of things that go along with being a preemie. After that, he did take a while to overcome his lung issues. He had pneumonia and RSV, I think at the same time at one point. I mean, the only two long lasting things he had from it, he just had some stomach issues where he had trouble going to the bathroom. And then he did have ADHD.
Did he sort of lag in size to kids similarly aged?
Not really. I mean, other than at his birth, obviously he was very, very small, 1 pound, 6 ounces. But once he caught up, I think we held him back a grade or a year just to allow that and him to catch up a little bit in size. But no, you couldn't tell any difference with the fifth graders the year he died. So
Where was he born? What's
South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina.
when did you all move to?
I moved to Colorado in February of 2019. My Tisha and the kids had come a month earlier. I was stationed in Alaska prior to that. So
What did Gannon like to do for fun?
some of his favorite times, and all of his friends can attest to this, is just playing video games. I think he wanted to be a YouTube gamer. I think he actually was able to make one video and put it on YouTube, so it's out there. But playing Sonic and actually Mario was his favorite. So that was some of the favorite things I ever got to do with him. So
Up on your witness stand, you should also have a binder.
yes, sir.
It's going to get a little crowded up there. Spot camera there. Stand in front of me. Stand there too.
Two.
Should be the first exhibit.
Yes.
What is Keeble's exhibit?
Excuse me. That's a picture of Lena. Yes, sir. That would have been probably 2018 at our house in Myrtle Beach.
Defense. Exhibit number 2 will be admitted. All right. Oops. There you
Where was that photo taken?
Like I said, we owned a house in Myrtle Beach at that time, and I believe that would have been the fall of 2018.
So how old was Lena at this photo?
2012, so 6.5. Yeah, right. Thanks. Yeah, about 6.5 years old.
Was she also born early?
She was. She actually tried to come out a little earlier than Gannon. They were, always competitive with one another. But Gannon was born at 24 weeks. She tried to come out at 22. But I think it was actually 34 weeks of, being with her mom in her tummy there before she came out. So she was about 2 months early.
What was the relationship like between?
Oh, obviously as much love as a sister and brother can have. I think a famous quote Lena said after Gannon died was, "I'm just gonna miss getting on his nerves." So if that sums it up for you right there. But yeah, he loved his sister, and one thing I always urged him to do, and I know his mama did too, was to look after his little sister. And even getting off the bus and walking home, I used to fuss at him if he let her walk home alone. And it was 3 houses away, so that was kind of the theme for us: just be with your sister and be together.
Were you and you can? How long were you and Landon
Just shy of 10 years. But dating and all, I think we were together 11 or so, 12 years.
You know the defendant in this case?
Yes, sir. I was married to her for 4 or 5 years, whatever it was.
When did you meet her?
I met her, I think somewhere along the way playing softball on one of the various teams we played on. But I didn't really get to know her until beginning of 2014, so January timeframe.
January, you said?
January of 2014 is when I met her and went out with her and started to get to know her.
This is not intended to embarrass anybody, but were you still married to Landon?
Yes, sir. We were separated and, with the intent of getting divorced, going our separate ways. And that's when I met and started dating Tisha.
Did the defendant have her own?
She did. Harley.
You move in that binder to People's Exhibit number 3. Is that a picture of her?
Sure is.
Is that a picture of her?
Yes, sir.
When was that photo?
Looks like, I think that would have been 2019. It looks like her high school graduation picture, if I'm not mistaken.
This time for admission of people. Okay.
Exhibit 3 will be admitted.
Yes, sir.
Where was that?
I believe it was in Columbia, South Carolina, where the graduation was, somewhere in South Carolina. Because go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say she finished her high school at an online school that was based in South Carolina, so she went back for the graduation.
When you began your relationship with South Carolina?
It was, yes, sir. Myrtle Beach.
When did you and the defendant get?
January 2015. Yes, sir.
You identify her and point to where she's sitting and describe what she's wearing?
T-shirt right there with the kind of green jacket on, bluish green jacket. Black.
All right, I'll slip the record. Like you said.
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
What do you do for work now?
I'm an officer in the Colorado National Guard in a full-time status.
So let's talk a little bit about artists typically.
Typically, yeah, 1 weekend a month and then a summer duty.
You said that you're.
I am. So I'm in it's called AGR, and that's what I've been even starting in South Carolina. I was, it's active guard is what it is. Was there for rough 12 years or so as a recruiter and in other capacities. And I took my commission as an officer and moved states. I didn't necessarily get transferred, but I moved states to Alaska as an officer, and then spent about 2 years there, and then been in Colorado since 2019 as an officer in the Colorado Guard. So my main duties are right now as a missile defense officer.
So let's talk a little bit about the family history. You said you got married in January 2015.
Sir.
Was that in South Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Alaska, when did you?
I went to a lot. I got hired and went there, reported in June. I come through for some school we call it TDY en route, but I got hired, went to school here, and then drove up to Alaska to be permanently stationed.
June?
2017.
Did-
Somewhat. It was when I initially drove there, I had my two children with me, Lena and Gannon. Made that trip, and one of the most memorable trips of my life. And then Tisha and Harley came along the way a little bit later, but they never really permanently moved there. They came for a couple weeks at a time, and then came and left and did whatever else.
Just a little bit. When.
Initially, well, I'll talk about during our separation, they both stayed, the kids stayed in the house, and me and Landon alternated time in the house so the kids could be as stable as possible during that tough time. Initially, the custody status, Landon had the majority time, but we were both same local area, so we did the best we could at sharing that time. But I think she moved in initially with her mom, and the kids stayed there with her, and that was the initial agreement.
And when you said she, just so that the record is clear, you're talking about when.
Landon, I'm sorry, yes, Landon specifically had the custody arrangement.
At some point, custody.
Yes, that would have been in March of 2018 while I was in Alaska.
You mentioned just a moment ago. I knew Alaska, I think.
Yes, sir.
So did you have custody of them before you actually got transferred to Alaska?
No, because that was 2017 when I took that trip initially. And then they were still with their mom, Landon, with the majority time, the custody time. What they did was they spent the summer with me in Alaska, and I flew them back home or back to their mother to start of the next school year.
To Colorado.
Me individually moved on February 15th of date I got here. And like I said, two kids were here beginning of January, getting a house set and everything. The defendant. Yeah.
You may.
Show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 4. Do you recognize this?
Yes, that looks like a map of Lorson Ranch neighborhood.
Does it have a specific address notated on that map?
It does.
What's that address?
That would have been our house at 6627 Mandan Drive.
Is that a Colorado Springs address?
It is.
Is that in El Paso County, Colorado?
It is.
You're going to move for admission of People's Exhibit number 4.
Mr. Tellini, exhibit number 4 will be admitted. Go ahead.
For a moment. Can you point out the 6627 Mandan Drive addresses?
Right here.
Is that where you lived when you moved to Colorado, Alaska?
Yeah, I think, just to be clear, initially, I think they had a little temporary housing on base, as you do when you PCS. And then Tisha, or the defendant, found that house for rent, and we moved in. And I think they were already in the house when I got here.
When did you all move into that house?
I don't remember the specific date. I know they were already in the house by the time I got here in the middle of February. So
February 2019, when you came from Alaska to here, you went to that.
I went directly to the house from the airport.
Asked this already, but is that address in El Paso County, Colorado?
Yes, sir.
You all live in that house?
I lived there, I guess, right here, because when everything happened with Gannon in January of 2020, the investigation started taking place, and we pretty much decided just to move out. And the landlord allowed us to break the lease at that point. And then, so it would have been early February of 2020 when we moved out officially.
So let's just go through just a general description of that house. Was it a two-story, a rancher with a basement?
Too savvy on specific style of houses, but it had a main floor to basement.
Was the basement finished? Was there also an unfinished area?
I mean, in the closet was unfinished, but all the areas we frequented finished.
Where the furnace room was?
Yeah, when I said closet, that's to the furnace room, yes. I call it the luggage and boxes and stuff in there. And there was another unfinished closet under the stairs as well. I'm sure we'll see that as well.
Where was the bedroom that you ended?
On the main floor,
And then was there a level above that?
negative.
Okay, so it's just the main floor and then a basement.
Then the basement, yes, sir.
Who else had a bedroom?
Initially, it was Gannon, when we first moved in, but at one point we switched Lena and Gannon to what we'll see as Gannon's bedroom, and Lena moved upstairs.
And how many bedrooms, other bedrooms were upstairs?
Just that one bedroom when you walk in the front door.
So two bedrooms.
2 bedrooms total. Yep.
And then kid bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Is there a living room on that main level?
Yes, sir.
Kitchen,
Kitchen. Yes, sir.
access to the garage on that main level?
Yeah, and the access included the laundry stuff, laundry room. So
And then what about downstairs?
downstairs was, as soon as you come down the stairs to the left was the I called the closet, but the boiler room or whatever. And then Gannon's room right next to that. To the right was the I don't know, living room area in the basement, and then behind that was a bathroom and what was Harley's room, Harley's bedroom.
Have you put the exhibit? People's 5 through 12, and just give me a heads up.
Okay,
What are those photos of?
just different viewpoints of the house you want me to go through specifically?
Yes, I want the
Okay.
pictures of the 6627 Mandan Drive residence.
Yes, starting with the outside and working through the house.
So People's Exhibit 5, is that the front of the house?
Yeah, there will be a front view where you can see the garage and the front door, yes.
People's Exhibit 6, what is that?
That's as soon as you come in the front door, there's the coat closet to the left, a view of the living room. That's walking into the house further, you can see the couch in the living room and the kitchen to the right, as well as back sliding patio door. You can see well behind the curtains, but that's what that is.
And Kate?
Same thing, and it's a closer up view of the kitchen. You can kind of see the dishwasher and everything, but yeah, that's the kitchen area. 9 is basically looks like it's standing at the back sliding glass door where you can see the living room, stairs down, and then the garage entryway there. Upstairs living room. That is a view of the master bedroom. As soon as you walk in. That is a view of the laundry area. And then the next door would be access to the garage. 12 is the garage.
Are those all fair and accurate representations of those areas of the town that you just described?
Yes, sir.
And we formation People's 5 through 12. Okay.
Exhibits 5 through 12 will be admitted. Go ahead. You may give me just a second, though. All right, go ahead.
So it's the front, here's the garage door open there,
It is.
moving on to People's 6. So point out, and there's actually an extended pointer behind it.
No.
Other side. Yeah,
It's right here.
other side.
Other side? Oh, yes. Okay.
If you want to, you can just turn around and nothing is. Just make sure when you're pointing away from us, that the furthest you're from, you can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
So what are we looking at here?
So, like I said, this is walking into the front door. This is what I used as my closet actually, but the front, what would be a coat closet. You can see the couch in the living room right there. As we walk forward, we'll see to the right is the kitchen, and this is a wall that covers the stairwell going down. But that's the living room area right in here on the main floor.
So the front door, would that be basically to our back in this photo?
Yes, as you walk in the front door is right behind us. Yes, sir.
Okay. People's exhibit number 7. Tell the jury what they're looking at there.
This is where I referenced the couch in the living room, kitchen area, and the back sliding patio doors behind the curtains there.
There's a dog in the photo there as well.
Yeah, that's Chance.
And then it looks like there might be a person on the couch.
Yeah, and that would be Harley right there.
Okay, people's exhibit number 8.
Same thing. Here's the kitchen. I said just a second ago, dishwasher and the back sliding doors once again.
People's exhibit number 9.
Yeah, so right behind us right now would be those back patio sliding doors. And here's the stairwell going down. This is the wall I referenced in the first picture. TV living room area. And this is the entryway into the laundry room. And this would be the master bedroom behind this wall.
So sort of around that corner there.
Yeah, you have to go around the corner and into the master bedroom.
And then people's exhibit number 10. What are we looking at there?
So yeah, going around that corner, we've come into the master bedroom now. Master bedroom doors behind us, and this would have been a window into the backyard and master bed right here.
And then sort of over to the left, what's to the left in that photo?
So
If you go sort of, if we don't have a picture of it yet,
Right.
but where would that go?
So if I'm standing looking at this back door and I turn my body to the left, there'll be the bathroom, the master bathroom. And then through that master bathroom would have been the defendant's closet.
Okay. And then people's exhibit number 11.
Once again, looking from that living room view, this is the garage entryway we discussed and the laundry facilities right here. And then into that, through that door would be into the garage.
People's 12.
And that is the garage.
Whose car is parked there in that garage?
That was the car that belonged to Harley.
What kind of car is that?
It's a Volkswagen Jetta. I think it was a 2018 Volkswagen Jetta.
Looks like maybe somebody's a woodworker.
Somebody.
Who's that?
I try. I don't know if I can claim to be an actual woodworker, but I give it my best shot. So
So that woodworking material there, various pieces of wood and table and all that kind of thing, that's your stuff.
yeah, pretty much this whole side of the garage was dedicated with parking bikes. But other than that, it was, just to my supplies and my woodworking stuff.
What kind of stuff would you build with wood?
Well, this you see right here, I actually I'm about 90% done, is a table for mom, and I surprised her with it the other day. One of my favorite things to make is like cutting boards and like epoxy boards and stuff like that, but it's kind of what I do.
So you mentioned making a table for, I think you said mom. Do you mean your mom?
Yeah, my mom sitting right over there. Yeah,
Okay. So you would make some furniture
yeah, some
and then also cutting boards.
cutting boards and stuff like that. Yeah.
I want to have you take a look in that binder again.
Okay.
Should be the next exhibit number 34. You see it there?
I have 13 is next.
So flip all the way to
Flip to 34. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that a photo of a table that you built?
Yes, sir.
Who'd you build that table for?
I built that for Gannon, so he'd have a place to put his, Legos and his, his little toys and stuff in his room.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of that table that you built?
Yes, sir.
You want to move for admission and permission to publish People's 34?
Mr. Tellini,
No objection.
exhibit 34 will be admitted. Go ahead.
So People's 34 is now displayed on the two screens here. It's fairly obvious, but just point out the table we're talking about that you built for Gannon.
Right here, it's red and blue one, and the colors were specifically for Mario. Like I said, it's one of his favorite things, so I wanted him to enjoy that based on his Mario little thing.
And then there's some scrap wood in that photo just to the left there. Can you point that out?
Yeah, so a little piece of like OSB board, and then my circular saw here. There's more of that same OSB up there. I used that to build those in the laundry room. You saw that little shoe container, it was gray. Built it out of that wood.
So you used a term that I'm not familiar with. I'm not a woodworker. OSB, what does that mean?
OSB is like plywood, different types of plywood. It's
Okay.
a generic term. Particle board is another word that's used.
Okay. And if you could pull that down the picture. And then I want to have you now flip back to People's 13 through 31. And then just flip through all of those and tell me when you're done.
13 through,
31.
thank you.
Stop at 31, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Are those basically just more photos of the 6627 Main Dam Drive address?
Majority of them, yes, sir.
Are they all fair and accurate representations of that house?
Yes, sir.
I move for admission of 13 through 31 and permission to publish.
Mr. Tellini?
Third couple, and I'm referring to kind of 19, 20,
I'm sorry.
and
Yeah,
21. I think there needs to be more foundation laid for those photos, but for the rest of them, I don't have.
good catch. So those are coming later. So it's 13 through 18 and then 21 through 31. My apologies.
Okay, let's go there. 13 through 18 and 21 through 31. Do you have an objection?
I do not.
All right, those photos will be admitted. Go ahead.
And permission to publish those photos, Your Honor.
You may go ahead.
So we've got 13 displayed on the screen there. Describe what we're looking at there.
So if you can see over here, this carpet, this is where we came in the front door, and I said there was the wall leading down the stairs, and this is the stairway to the basement.
People's number 14.
So, yeah, I forgot to mention the stairs kind of do a wraparound. So we came down the stairs and now we're looking down into the basement, and we had a little computer area here. But yeah, that's the basement entryway.
And 15.
So coming down the stairs to the right, this is what you would have seen, the little, I call it the downstairs living room.
So TV, sofa, that kind of
My
thing.
bike, and then the dog's kennel was over here. And then, mementos, you can see college degrees and pictures of the family and stuff.
Was it typical that you all would spend time as a family in this room?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of movies with the kids down there, but we did upstairs as well. So,
Would the kids spend time on their own down there?
oh yeah, a lot. Because again, you can see his Nintendo Switch right here, as that was his pride and joy. And we also had a PlayStation, and they would watch movies, and so all the gaming and stuff typically took place downstairs.
Just to the right of that photo, was there a hallway that went back to the back bedroom?
Yeah,
It's
you
hard
can-
to see.
You can kind of see a little crease right here. That's the corner, and it goes into Harley's room and then her bathroom area. And there's another closet right there.
And then People's Exhibit 16.
Yeah, so this would have been the couch we just saw in the other picture, and then this is just the back corner. I guess it would have been the northwest corner of the basement. I don't know, but yeah.
And then you sort of started to point at it there, but there's a blackish square there in the center of that carpet.
Yes, sir.
Just backing up a little bit. In January of 2020, specifically January 25th and 26th, which would have been a Saturday and Sunday, were you at home on that weekend?
No, I actually, it's kind of hard to explain my duty schedule, but every other week I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that week I actually had to work day shift on a Friday and Saturday, and then I left town on Sunday. So I was at work all day Saturday, came home, the defendant and my mom was in town, and the defendant and I and my mom and the kids ate dinner. And then my mom was leaving that night, so I took her to the airport in Denver for her flight. And then I stayed in the airport. I slept across from the ticket counter on the floor there. And then because I had an early morning flight to go to Oklahoma for training for 2 weeks.
So when did you actually drive up to Denver? And I'm assuming you mean DIA.
Denver Airport, yeah, DIA. So, I mean, I don't think I got off early that evening. I usually get off at 1800 or at 6 p.m. And it was a 15-minute drive home or so. We ate dinner, and then No later than 8 o'clock, I would assume. I don't remember exactly what time mom's flight left DIA, but
So you drive mom up to the airport and then you just stayed at the airport because you had a flight the next day?
I had an early morning flight to through Dallas, I think, to Lawton, Oklahoma. But yeah, I did. I just slept on my duffel bag or whatever right there. There's a little seating area right across from the American Airlines ticket counter at DIA, and I just laid down on the floor right there.
So when you left on Saturday evening, whatever time it was, who was left at the Mandan Drive residence?
The defendant, and then Harley and Lena and Gannon.
Any other adults there?
Not that I know of. No,
How old
sir.
was Harley at that time?
She would have been, let's see, 5102. And that was, so she was 17,
How old was
approaching
Ga-
18,
How old was Gannon
11.
and Lena?
Lena was, her birthday's in January. So, sorry, I'm doing math here. So 8, she had just turned 8.
Okay. You're doing math better than I could if I
Right.
was sitting on the stand, so thank you. So when you left the house on that Saturday evening to drive mom and yourself up to the DIA, was that carpet like that when you left?
It was not, no, sir.
Did you talk to the defendant about that?
I believe she,
Well, first, did you talk to her about it?
I did talk to her. She said there was an accident and a candle spill.
Okay.
I don't know if it was, let me clarify, I don't remember if it was over a text or over a phone call, but there was a conversation about it at some
Okay.
point.
Do you remember when you learned about a candle spill and a burn or whatever?
Confident that it was that Sunday night, which would have been the 26th.
Okay.
Either that or the next morning in those
Okay.
text messages.
And is that what we're looking at there is sort of a cutout area of that carpet as a result of whatever burn happened?
Yeah, what I was told was, yeah, there was a spill here, but you can also see that she claimed the defendant claimed there's supposedly some candles spilled on the couch as well. You can see those little spots there. That's what she claimed that was.
Did she ever say who cut that square out like that?
When I got home, I think there was something over it. So I don't know if the defendant ever told me that she had cut anything out. I cannot remember specifically on that.
Okay, let's move on to People's Exhibit 17. What are we looking at here?
So basically, you're kind of standing by the TV almost now, and then you're looking back to where we came down the stairs, and this would have been that entryway into Harley's area. Once again, the dog kennel, we referenced that in the computer area, and this is when I called it a closet. I forget how you referenced it, but the boiler room or whatever.
I called a storage room, but
Storage room, okay.
unfinished area where furnace and that kind of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then where's Gannon's room in relation to that?
So you'd have this, behind this wall, there's a small little hallway. As soon as you get here, you take a right and it leads into his bedroom.
Okay. People's Exhibit 18? Is that just a closer up view of into that storage room?
Yeah, now we're walking towards the storage room here, and then you can see this little, gap here. That's how you get into Gannon's room.
People's 21? So Judge, we'll have to turn the screen off for just a moment. Okay, we're
Hold on. Okay.
so 21 is on the screen behind you now.
Okay.
What are we looking at there?
So we've taken probably 2 or 3 steps into Gannon's room now because we're kind of in the center. This was his bed. And as I mentioned before, you can see the remnants of when Lena lived here. Those are definitely not Gannon stickers, but his bed here, there's that table that I built for him for his toys. And then there would also be another bed over on this side of the room, as we're looking at it to the right. This was a storm well or whatever. Remember, we're in the basement and ladder in this one going up to the backyard. His closet would have been over here, and then I think he had a little TV. As soon as you walk in the room to the
Is that essentially what Gannon's room looked like when you got back from Oak?
I don't remember if I walked down there immediately or not. I think I did, but I don't remember specifically, but that's about what it would have looked like.
Okay.
That was the main entrance of the room, so.
Was his bed always sort of backed up into that corner?
Yeah, his bed would have been typically pushed all the way up against this wall and this wall, not pulled away for any reason.
Does it appear there's a gap there in the,
It's hard to tell in this picture because the covers are kind of ruffled up, but
people's exhibit? Do we need to pull it down? Can you just not do it? All right, yeah, be 22 first, but you can't just. So people's 22, what is that a picture of?
now we're back in the master on the first floor, on the main floor, and we've walked into the master bathroom. You can see the shower right here with the tile and the glass door, and this would have been the defendant's closet. Master closet, if you will.
So all the clothes in there and whatever other things were in there pretty much belong to the defendant?
Yeah, so as I referenced earlier, my clothes in her, because the defendant had a closet full of clothes and there wasn't room for mine, so.
Okay. And then people's 23?
Yeah, this would have been just taking another step in where you can see, just her clothes, the defendant's clothes hanging up, shoes on the top rack there.
People's 24? What are we looking at?
That looks like, that would have been the defendant's closet, I believe, because those were her book bags. And yeah, you can see some of the same clothes we saw in the previous picture hanging up here. So yeah, that's the defendant's closet as well.
And her shoes there?
Yeah, her shoes, another rack of shoes.
And then people's 25?
That would have been, as soon as you walk in the closet to the right, the same closet.
So I want to ask you some questions before we jump on to the next couple of photos. When did you learn about Gannon having something happen to him? You mentioned hearing something from the defendant about the burn downstairs. Was there a point in time when you learned that he was missing?
Yes, I was in Oklahoma. We had our first day of class. Like I said, I was scheduled to be there 2 weeks. Just got out our first day of class. I went and ran a couple miles, whatever it was. And then I was already back in my hotel room preparing for the next day and whatever. And then we started the conversation back and forth about he's not home yet. We had specific times for them to be home. Typically was the street lights. It's something I used to do as a kid. I had to be home by the street lights. So we just implemented that, and he hadn't come home in time. And it was abnormal, but it wasn't worrisome. So I don't know how much you want me to go into that.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions
Okay.
about that. When you say that he hadn't come home yet, did you know that he hadn't come home, or is this what the defendant was telling you?
Yeah, based on the conversation me and the defendant were having, of course, I was in Oklahoma, so I had no clue. I'm just relying on trusting her that he hadn't come back from his friend's house yet, which is where she said he had been.
And what day was that you heard this information?
This would have been the Monday, so that I believe was the 27th.
27th?
Yeah.
Do you know if he went to school on the 27th?
According to her, he did not.
Her being?
Excuse me, the defendant. According to the defendant, he did not because he was having stomach issues and he was sick, which in my mind at that time is like, why is he going to his friend's house if he's that sick? So it was a little confusing, but
Would it be typical if he was having digestive issues to stay home from school?
no, sir.
Okay. So that by itself was out of the ordinary.
Right.
And when did you find out that he was going to stay home from school?
I believe, without having timestamps, I believe it was that morning, and I think she sent me some photos
Okay.
saying, Gannon's home, here he is, or whatever.
Yep. And then when you found out from the defendant that he had potentially gone to a friend's house and hadn't come home, do you know what time that was?
I mean, I don't know specifically without looking when that conversation started, but it was already in the evening where I was when we started that conversation.
So you learn in the morning that Gannon doesn't go to school from the defendant
Mhm.
because of stomach issues, and then sometime in the evening you learned that he had gone to a friend's house and had not come
I had
home,
not come home.
and that all comes from the defendant.
Yes, sir.
When did you get back to Colorado?
I came as soon as I can after I decided basically that there was something actually wrong. So the 27th, as soon as I decided he's missing, I got to come home. I had not to get ahead, but I think the defendant had called 911. I don't know about when the police came to the house, but I know I also called them and said, "Hey, what's going on? My son's out there somewhere." And at that point, I called our travel people and said, "Hey, I need an emergency ticket home." And I left. I had a buddy drive me to Oklahoma City, and I left from Oklahoma City airport early the next morning.
So let's unpack that just a little bit.
Sure.
So to your memory, the defendant tells you that she called 911?
She did.
Was it that specifically, or was it an accumulation of things that made you worried and decide that you need to get back home and see what's going on?
Yeah. So, like I said, I didn't know how deep you wanted me to go at that point. I had also contacted numerous of Gannon's friends' parents in the neighborhood that I knew. He would typically frequent their house and play with their kids and stuff, and none of them had even seen him. So then it started to become an issue. There was also another claim about some new friend on the school bus and some other stuff surrounding that. I'm sure we'll get into. Do you want me to go into
Nope,
that?
not right now.
All right. There was that, and so I started asking the parents about, do you know this person's name, or do you know anything about another person? And so it started compounding, as you said, to become more worrisome.
So basically, you're accumulating information and growing more worried. Is that what you're describing?
Yes, sir.
And then when you said you called your travel people, do you mean you called the National Guard folks?
Well, we have like a central billing travel type agency that does all of our flights and stuff like that. So I just called them. I think it's called Sato. I don't remember exactly, but I called them. On my orders, it has the emergency number. So I just called that, say, "Hey, I got to go home. This is happening."
Okay.
I also called Landon and some of her family as well to try to notify them, "Hey, I'm going home. Something's wrong."
When did you actually then fly out of, I think you said Oklahoma City?
Yeah. So one of my battle buddies or whatever, one of my guys in my class took me up to Oklahoma City because that was the only flight they could find, or the soonest flight they could find. And early the next morning, I spent the night sitting once again right across from the ticket counter at Oklahoma City. I don't remember the flight time.
So when you say the next morning, is that January 28th?
Tuesday, January 28th. Yes, sir.
Did you get any sleep that night?
No, I just sat there and whatever.
Did you fly back to DIA or did you fly to Colorado Springs?
I think I don't remember exactly. I knew I left Oklahoma City, but I'm pretty sure I got back I know I got back to Colorado Springs. All the different legs, I don't remember, to be
Okay.
honest, but I know I came into Colorado Springs.
So do you remember being picked up from Colorado Springs Airport?
Yes, sir.
Who picked you up?
The defendant.
So let's talk about that just a little bit. Does she have her own vehicle at that time?
I don't know what she drove to the airport based on
Listen to the question. Did she have her own vehicle?
we went and got a rental. Well, she went upstairs and got a rental car.
Did she have her own vehicle that you all owned that she would typically drive? Bad questions on my part. Does she have a vehicle that she would typically drive
Oh, does she have one?
at that time?
Yes, she did. It was a Volkswagen T1,
Okay. What color was it?
black.
Okay. What did she actually pick you up in at the airport?
Like I said already, she went upstairs. I was down at the luggage carrier. She went upstairs to get a rental vehicle.
Okay. Did that seem odd to you?
Absolutely.
At some point, were you in contact with Landon with this news of Gannon being missing?
Absolutely. And once I decided there was an issue and a legitimate issue, I think I called her first, can't get a hold of her. And then I started calling her daddy and other family members to try to get a hold of her. But I did talk to her Monday on the 27th that evening while still at Fort Sill. And then I don't remember exactly along the way, but she said, I'll be there. And she started getting her travel arrangements set to get there. So
Did she actually then come out to Colorado?
she did.
Where did she stay when she came to Colorado?
Initially, I don't remember how many nights. I think she stayed at my house for a night or two. I don't remember specifics. Majority of the time, she got a hotel in town. It wasn't long that we all stayed in the house because we had to leave. So
When she got to town, and I think you said, did she come straight to your house?
I saw her for the first time at the sheriff's office, El Paso County Sheriff's Office downtown.
Okay. Well, was she staying somewhere in Colorado? Did she go to your house?
So yes, So she, from my recollection, she landed, came straight to the sheriff's office. I don't know anything in between, but the sheriff's office, we left there, I think in my truck and went home to my residence, 6627
Okay.
Mandan Drive.
Did the fact that Landon was going to be staying in your house at 6627 cause tension between you and the defendant?
From her perspective, I can't speak for her perspective. I didn't see their need for tension because there's a little boy missing and we got to fight together at that point.
Okay, so, but was there tension between the two of you over that decision to allow Landon to be at the house?
I believe it created some tension in her mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have that tension. No, sir. I'm just gonna speak. to
Right.
it.
A disagreement though. Did she get mad at you for allowing Landon to be?
Yeah, we disagreed on that note. Yes.
Okay. At some point, then, did that cause the defendant to actually move out of the Mandan Drive house? I'm not asking you for specific days, just a yes or no.
I believe that's what she said caused her, the defendant caused her to move out. Yes.
I'm gonna object at this point. It's unclear if he's just speculating as to what was going on in the defendant's mind, or if this was actually verbalized to him. If it was verbalized to him, I think he can testify. If he's just speculating as to what she was thinking, I think it's inappropriate.
I agree. I don't think that he can testify as to what she was thinking at the time. He can testify as to what she did. He can testify as to what she said.
And that's what I'm trying to
Okay.
get across here. And I'm actually asking for a physical thing. Did she physically go to the house and take things out of the house and move out?
She did. Absolutely.
Roughly when did that occur?
Within the first week,
Okay.
I don't remember exact dates. I'm sure we'll get to that.
Okay. And so if we can put up People's Exhibit 26.
"26 hasn't been admitted yet.
I moved for admission of 21 through
Oh, you're right.
31.
That's right. Yep, I'm sorry. Whoops. Go ahead.
All right. What is depicted in People's 26?
This would have been the defendant's closet in the master bedroom, bathroom area. Looks like it's been emptied out.
Okay. So did you move anything out of that closet?
No, sir, I did not.
Who did?
The defendant.
There's still some things that were left behind, it looks like.
Yes, sir, it appears so.
Are those some of the defendant's items as well? It may be hard to tell,
It's
but
hard to tell. I mean, you may be specific here. I mean, some of that stuff is my items, but
so I'm asking more about the things hanging. It looks like there's a belt or something and then some sort of a jacket maybe.
this belt looks like it would have been mine. Actually, I remember it because I had that little crease in it, and I cannot tell what jacket that is to be specific about it.
Okay. And then People's Exhibit 27. Is this another view of that same closet?
Yes, so that would have been my sweater. I don't know whose sweatshirt that is. And those are linens from our bedroom.
Linens from your bedroom?
Yeah, up here in the top corner from our bed.
Okay. And then, so looks like, you said the defendant came in there and moved all those things out.
Yes, sir.
You didn't help her at all?
No, sir, there were other people helping her.
Okay. And then I want to jump now to People's Exhibit 28. What is this?
So this was Harley's room, and the door to Harley's room would have been over in this area, and then that's a door into her closet.
Okay. And then People's 29.
And that's walking into her closet, it looks like.
Her being Harley.
Harley, yes, I'm sorry.
So the clothes and the shoes and whatnot, is that all Harley's
Those are
belongings?
Harley's shoes, yes, sir.
And then when the defendant moved out, the week of that 27th, did Harley also move out?
Harley did, yes, sir.
Let's move on to People's Exhibit 30. Is that Harley's clothes hanging in that closet?
Yes, sir.
And People's 31. Is that the way the closet looked after Harley and Letecia moved out later the week of the 27th?
Yes, sir.
You can take that down now, Judge. Thank you. I want to go through and have you describe for us how you all would communicate. Did each person basically in the family, and when I say each person, I mean you, the defendant, Harley have cell phones
All three of us did. Yes, sir.
with separate phone numbers?
Separate phone numbers. Yes, sir.
And then was there a fourth phone number that was assigned to Gannon and Lena?
Yes, sir. It was like the kid's phone. Yes, sir.
What was your phone number back then?
My phone number, 843-478-6714.
Who was the provider for that phone number?
I was.
I'm sorry, the phone provider.
Oh, AT&T.
And about Gannon's or the kid's phone?
83. I remember it was 6724 because it was just one digit off of my end. I don't remember the middle three.
Okay. So 843 area code.
Mhm.
You have to say yes or no.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. And then the last four, 6724.
6724.
Okay. Who was the cell phone provider for that phone?
AT&T.
And then let's talk about Harley. Do you remember her phone number at that time?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Do you know who the cell phone provider
It was
was?
AT&T.
AT&T.
Also 843 area code for sure.
What is 843 area code?
That's coastal South Carolina at the
Okay.
time.
And then, what about the defendant? Did she also have a cell phone?
She did.
Who was the cell phone provider for that phone?
AT&T.
Do you know her phone number?
Yeah, 84. Yes, sir. 843-655-7460.
During the course of the investigation, did law enforcement ask you for access to the phone associated with the kids or Gannon's phone?
Yes, sir.
We'll come back to that. We've already talked a little bit about vehicles. What was your vehicle?
I had I believe it was 2016, but Nissan Frontier. It was red, had a 6-inch lift on it, some big mud tires.
Was it a Titan?
No, it was a Frontier.
Frontier?
Nissan Frontier.
And you said what year was it?
I believe 2016, either 2015 or 2016.
Who typically drove that vehicle?
Typically, I did.
Anybody else drive it?
The defendant from time to time.
Did she like driving it?
I don't remember ever enjoying driving it.
Okay. And then what about Harley? We saw, but that was a white VW Jetta, I think you said.
Yes, sir. 2018, I believe.
And then what about the defendant?
She had, I think it was 2019, but a Tiguan, a black Tiguan with black rims and kind of blacked out tint on her windows.
Did you all own that vehicle?
No, that was a lease.
So now I want to jump back to what we were talking about earlier when she picked you up at the airport. Did she give you a reason? Did she say why she wanted to drive a rental vehicle as opposed to her normal vehicle?
Yeah, her reasoning was we would be doing a lot of searching and driving around looking for Gannon, and due to her vehicle being a lease, she didn't want to go over the mileage on whatever those requirements or allotments were.
What kind of vehicle did she rent?
Little small. I don't remember. I think maybe a Kia. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a small little sedan.
What color was it?
I believe silver,
Was it white maybe?
maybe white.
You don't have a good memory of that?
I don't, because we just parked it in the driveway and drove my truck around. So, which made totally no sense.
So let's talk about that. Did you actually own the pickup at that time?
I did.
Not a lease issue.
No, I was paying the note off, but I mean, I owned it. It was my
Okay.
name.
Why was it strange to you, the way you said this earlier, that there was a rented vehicle as opposed to her normal Tiguan vehicle that she was picking you up in?
Once again, and I know I've made this statement already about something else, but in these moments when it's an emergency, things like miles on your car don't matter. It doesn't matter what car we drive if we're going searching. So it just, and in the moment, I'm just like, whatever, just do what you want. But yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Did she tell you where the Tiguan was?
She did. She said it was, so, because I asked, it brings back, remember, I asked, how did you get to the airport if your car's not here? Well, I parked it at French Elementary School, which is where she was employed. And one of my coworkers brought me, or former whatever it was, one of my coworkers brought me to the airport and dropped me off.
So just so we're clear, you asked her about that and she told you that one of her coworkers drove her to the airport and dropped her off.
Absolutely.
Is French Elementary School close to the Mandan Drive address?
I mean, it's on the south end of town, but I mean, it's a couple miles away.
Okay. Did you ever drive over to French Elementary School to look for that vehicle?
I did.
Did you find it there?
I did not.
Did you find that odd?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Gannon's relationship with the defendant. How would you describe that relationship?
Trusting. I'm comfortable saying I think he had love in his heart for her. I don't think he was afraid of her, any fear for her. One of the things about Gannon that is special, and I think it's special about Lulling, yeah,
So he was a mama's boy.
he was absolutely.
How was I guess who would discipline the kids? And when I say the kids, I'm talking about the little ones. So Lena and Gannon.
Both of us, both myself and the defendant.
I want to get into now your relationship with the defendant. We talked about how you met her. How would you describe the relationship? Was it a loving relationship? What was it?
At what point?
Well, let's start at the beginning.
I think loving is a good example. It was fun. It was, I brought up I was coming off of a divorce, so yeah, it was fresh, it was new. I had a good time. I did kids that were more free and things we could do.
How were Gannon and Lena when you met the defendant?
When I met,
Yep.
2 and 5, I believe. I think that's right.
When did you first move in together?
So my officer school took me through August. I had to go to a 2-week phase in Alabama. Landon and I sold the house. And it was I think I signed the papers and it sold while I was gone, but right in that same time frame, late July, early August, when I got back is when I might have moved my stuff into where we started renting a house, but I moved in late August,
Of what
something
year?
like that, 2014.
When did you first meet Harley?
Earlier in 2014, maybe March. I remember, well, let me back up. I had exposure to her at the softball games and stuff, but I never really, had a conversation with her. But when I first met her, I actually remember helping her doing her homework the first time I met her. She was doing some vocabulary. I don't know why that stands out, but yeah, I was at Tisha's apartment in spring of 2014.
When were you officially commissioned in the National Guard?
I took my commission June 9th, 2016.
Did you change your duty assignment roughly around that same time?
Yeah, I was in National Guards, as you mentioned, is mostly reserve. So before my enlisted, made it up to first class, E7, and in act. My full time in order to take my commission. The reserves as you know, time or whatever.
Okay.
But I just stayed at the arm